Welcome everybody. I'm really glad you're here. I'm going to give it a pause in a second to let more people on. But this is becoming 2026, and I'm excited to spend the next few minutes with you. It's going to be a little different than my regular lives. I'm not in my kitchen sink. It's not in the morning. I'm not in my car giving you a commute reflection. This is an intentional time set aside for us to just be a little bit more reflective than I already am when I'm on my lives. So if you are catching this live or catching this on the replay, I'm just glad you're here, and pat yourself on the back because this is an intentional pause. Becoming 2026, and I'll talk a little bit about how that came about for me and then how this translated into what I'm doing this evening. But this is not a planning session. It's not a goal setting session, and it's not about fixing anything. It's a short pause. And when I mean a pause, it's a pause. I asked you all to set aside 30 minutes. I doubt we will be here for 30 minutes, but you know how it is when you set time with a personal trainer. You might not go to the gym if you don't have that appointment scheduled. And if they finish early, you're relieved. If they keep you longer, you're frustrated. So my promise to you is that I will not keep you longer. And if we finish before the 30 minutes is done, then I encourage you to use that time that you have carved out for yourself to continue with some deep reflection on some of the prompts that I'm going to be sharing with you. This is a chance for you to slow down and notice what's already changing in you without rushing it, without explaining it, and without a checklist. And I am a huge checklist person. So for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to ask you not to perform, not to reflect perfectly, if you can imagine that we even put pressure on ourselves to reflect in a way that feels so perfect, so right. We're not doing that tonight. We're not going to come to any conclusions. My only ask is that you just need to be honest, okay? So before we move into sort of what I had planned for us in this short time, let me tell you about how this all came about. So typically, I start thinking about my new year in the fall. As the school year is launching, because I am an educator, I start thinking about what does the year look like? What should the year look like? And with that, I start to think about my own personal goals and things of that nature. I started to feel a little bit overwhelmed when January 1st was getting closer and closer, and I didn't have a really clear sense of direction. That's new for me because I usually like a checklist. I usually like a plan. And it wasn't until I started to sit with what I was noticing before I realized, you know what, Joanne, you just need to take a pause. You have been on an intense journey of becoming for the last 4 to 5 years, and that you are not actually needing to put any more pressure on yourself right now to make 2026 seem like anything else in a continuation of a journey that you've been on, this journey of becoming who you are. And that's where becoming came from. I was like, girl, you've been moving forward in a very organic, intentional way for a minute, and notice your own becoming. Enjoy your journey of becoming to relieve some of the pressure that I was putting on myself to somehow articulate this plan when really I was already living out a journey of becoming. And so I thought about what that could look like to be intentional in sharing that out with my followers and viewers. You all know I love a good self-identity and self-growth moment. And what better time to reflect, but more importantly, to pause than at the beginning of the year, which is very contradictory to the norm. The norm is to like full steam ahead. January 1st, I'm going to start the exercise, the diet. Everything starts in January, and we don't think of January as a time to just pause. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We are going to pause. We're not going to put any pressure on ourselves, and we're going to be honest in what we notice at this time, 11 days into the new year, that can help us move forward in our own becoming journeys. Okay. So if that resonates with you, if you're like, yeah, I can do that, just put a comment, I'm ready. Okay. Or becoming, something that tells me that you hear me and that you're ready to go. All right. So let's take a deep breath together and begin. All right. This next section, or I should say this first section, is going to be for us to just sort of settle ourselves into this space. I want to equalize it for everybody, all right? Some of you have come into this space having followed the week long of reflections that I posted. I posted 7 reflections. It's not too late to go back and look at those after we're done tonight. Some of you all followed through on those reflections every day. Some of you may have hit a little bit of it. Some of you all may have just literally accidentally ended up in this live stream tonight. God bless you. I'm happy you're here, and that's okay. There is no catching up that is required of you. And it's okay that we're all coming in at different entry points. Everyone is welcome, okay? So this is a pause, not a push, okay? Say that to yourself. This is a pause. Joanne, I'm going to breathe through this and I'm going to pause. This is not a push. So let's start by arriving exactly as we are. Part of becoming for me was being able to name patterns that I was seeing in my journey. So I started to notice that I was being much more slow in how I was processing things. I wasn't quick to react, but I wanted to sit with what was in front of me to slow me down. Because when January 1st got here, I had high anxiety. This first quarter of the year is going to see some changes for me in my personal life. And so I was like, oh, it's January. I have so much going on between January and March. I'm freaking out a little bit. I needed to pause that and to be very slow in my journey. I needed to be more intentional with what I needed to see about who I was in this moment than all the things that I needed to do. So in the next few minutes, I want us to reflect on what's already been stirred. For some of you, there may be some things that you have already noticed in the first 11 days of the year. For others, it may be that, like me, maybe it was the fall or the summer that led into a new season for you where you were already starting to notice some things that were stirring in you, that I want you to not forget that that stirring has happened. And that even though we're in January, the stirring that happened in November still matters, okay? We are not limited by the calendar. And I think that that's something that actually prevents us from noticing some things in our own becoming because we're so locked into calendar months and January being the beginning. Well, how about January as a continuation of what's already been stirring for you and in you. So I want you to name some things that have already been stirring in you. And I'll just give some examples. And if anything resonates, just put a 1 in the comments. Or if you're feeling like, yeah, I want to name that thing, go ahead and name it in the comments. Some things like less urgency. Maybe there's a stirring in you already where you are feeling less urgency and more intention. And you're actually noticing that you are pausing in that. Maybe there is more steadiness in the way that you are moving in your professional life or even in your relationships, just more steadiness. Maybe it's the quietness in areas where in the past have been really, really loud for you. Maybe it's the fact that these areas are actually still and quiet that are offering you some information about where you are in your becoming journey. Let the quietness inform you about where you are. So I'm just gonna give you a few seconds. Just think about what's been changing, what's been already stirring in you, reflecting back so that you can realize that you are already moving in this growth journey of yours, okay? You just haven't been still enough to recognize or to notice where that has been. And so I want us to be intentional in that right now. So what's been changing for many of us isn't loud. It's relational. It's relational with our own selves. So if you were to actually not look at someone else's journey or look at someone else at the kickoff of the year and how they took out, they just went off the blocks and went running and sprinting. If we took our eyes off of everybody else and actually took a minute and said, when it comes to me, what's been changing in me? And maybe it hasn't actually been that loud, but because I've been so busy trying to keep up with everyone else around me, or maybe the demands around me, I haven't been quiet enough to notice some of the changes or the stirring that's already been happening in me. Okay? So instead of reaching for something new tonight, we're actually going to notice what's already here. And I love that because it takes like a pressure cooker, when you turn that valve and open it, it lets the steam out. That's what I want you to feel tonight. I want you to realize there's nothing new that you have to do tonight. We're literally just noticing what's already here. And that's an exercise I went through for myself that allowed me to sort of decompress a little bit into the year and into my own becoming. So I came up with a prompt. I love a prompt. If you've done any workshops with me or 2-day events, I am big on reflective prompts. Part of why I posted 7 of them this week, because I wanted you to get used to pausing, asking the question, and reflecting. So I wanted us to have some slow, honest processing tonight. This isn't a question to solve. It's an invitation to notice. And you're going to be hearing these words over and over again. Notice, pause, okay? That's purposeful, okay? So this is an invitation that I have for you to notice. I'm going to read the prompt and let the answers or the answer to that prompt come to you as words, images. Maybe it's something you feel, a sensation, or even in your silence, you notice something in response to this prompt. I am only going to read it one time. And there's a reason for that. We have a physical reaction to things when we hear them. And if I read it over and over again, you're going to lose what that initial response was to this question. So listen carefully. And again, you can always catch this again on the replay if you need to go back and listen to it again. But I want you to be very mindful right now and slow in noticing what comes to mind or what you feel or what you visualize in response to this prompt. So I'm going to read it. If I slow down long enough to notice this season honestly, what is already changing in how I think, respond, or show up? And I'm pausing. I want some silence to do some of this work for you. Again, we're just noticing. If you're someone that has to write something down, that's fine, but I really want you to just notice. Maybe it's one area of your life that you want to focus on in response to that prompt. Look for specifics, not explanations. We're not telling a story right now. If anyone has a sense of what they've noticed, just put notice in the comments. Like, yeah, I'm noticing, because I want to know that you are hearing something for yourself. Okay, yeah, I notice. So one prompt wasn't enough. I am someone who loves to reflect, so I have another prompt. And again, this is not homework. This is just here for you to access. If one prompt is all you want to notice tonight and you can go back and think about this second prompt, I think they're both very similar and work in tandem. The second prompt is, what am I no longer rushing to become? And I will read this one again. What am I no longer rushing to become? It's the other side of the noticing coin. What am I not rushing to do or become anymore right now? Okay? That's going to tell you a lot about what you were doing before. Okay? So notice that. Don't let that just happen. Notice it. There's nothing you need to do with that. Okay. This next way of thinking, okay, it's really important that you realize that we are wired to fix things. We want to be productive. We want solutions. We are solution oriented. I don't want you to do that right now. I want you to resist the urge to fix anything right now and just allow yourself to settle into what you are noticing. And that's a huge shift. That's a huge shift. Okay, I am a fixer. I'm the person that always wants to, okay, be in control. Okay, I admit it, be in control. But that busyness doesn't allow us to sit and to be settled in what we notice. And so I am asking you, as you are thinking about what you're noticing, as you are observing what you are noticing, to resist the urge to fix anything, okay? Just don't do it right now, okay? There will be time for that later, but not right now, okay? You don't need to make this productive. I know, like this is just goes against every part of who I am, okay? I am a productive human being. This is what I do, okay? No, we're not doing that right now. There's no need to be productive, and there's no need to be clear. Okay, that one's like almost a little bit of a A little punch in my gut, because that's what got me here. That's what got me on this journey, because I wasn't seeing things clear and I was getting anxious. And I needed to realize, Joanne, just notice what's already in play. Notice how much you have already moved, so that you don't actually have to have clear answers right now, because what you are noticing, that awareness is already movement. So if you want to make a mental note, awareness is already movement. How often have we taken for granted that resource, that skill set of being aware as movement, as growth, the ability to articulate something about what you see that is relational to yourself as movement? Okay, so honestly, you should feel a little bit of relief right now, because as you notice more and as you become more aware, you are going to start to see how much movement you have already made. Already, January 11th, you've already made so much movement, so much progress, and so much growth. Okay? So be encouraged, not discouraged. Okay? This might feel a little uncomfortable for you because it goes against what typically we find ourselves doing in January, which are, goals and lists and all those things. We're just not doing that right now. Look, I'm not saying you won't do that at some point, but that's not the point of tonight, okay? We are pausing and noticing tonight. No answers needed. So, it's 7:22. I'm leaving you with one question that you can carry, because this is not about urgency. I want you to think about continuity. All right? So we're going to keep moving, and we're not going to try to do this fast. We're going to try and find some clarity in the noticing. So here's the question I want to close with. What is one small shift you want to keep honoring without rushing it as you move into this next season of your becoming journey? What is one small shift that you've noticed, and maybe you have to go back and sit with that exercise a little bit more so that you're aware of what you're noticing and you can be aware of that movement. But what is one small shift that you want to keep honoring without rushing it? Because shifts take time. It's movement, but some shifts take some time. That as you move into this next season, you really want to honor that. Okay? And again, no answers needed tonight. This is all about noticing, reflecting, being aware. Okay? Good. I can't see any of you all, but I am believing that this is resonating with somebody tonight. Okay, even on the replay. And if you're hearing this on the replay, and it is, go ahead and hit replay, because then I'll know when you heard this later, which is your perfect timing, your perfect timing. So before we close, I want to name something gently. Some of you may leave this space right now feeling complete, feeling like, oh my gosh, this was great. I feel complete. I feel like I can move into tomorrow with some greater clarity, greater awareness. I feel good. Others may feel like something opened that you don't want to move past too quickly. For those people, I'm opening a small closed reflection group to continue this kind of slowing down and honest noticing together. And if that's something you'd like to explore, once the live is over, you'll see a pinned comment with this live post with details that you can look at later, okay? But go back to the pinned comment. As soon as this is over, I'm going to pin it in the comments. If you are someone that really, you're like, you know what? I think this has actually opened me up to feeling like I've got to explore some more of this in a very intentional way that feels slower and more honest, and would like to do that with a group of people. I'll pin that. And if not, that's okay too. You didn't miss anything because you feel like you got what you needed to get in this time together tonight. And I'm glad, because that was what I really wanted. And I'm really glad that you were here. Whether you have settled into your awareness, settled into your noticing tonight, if it's a sense of, I'm going to go back and listen to this again because I feel like I need to notice more than I have been because I haven't paused long enough, I invite you to listen to this again and to take your time and to be kind to yourself in this season. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And I don't want us to forget what we need to do for ourselves, that even in the midst of all the chaos, all the things that are happening, the loudness of the world, there is still an ability to be still and quiet and honest with where you are right now. This journey of becoming, there is no end date on it, right? Like, you shouldn't feel like by December you should have become. I want you to give yourself some grace and allow yourself to enjoy your becoming and see it as this just open runway for you to step onto with heightened awareness, great grace, and honesty and some humility too. There's always a little bit of sprinkle of that that's got to happen, right? Okay, we are good. I hope this was good for you. Again, I'm so glad that you were here. Thank you for pausing with me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you on your journey to becoming.